Hello, friends. How are we doing today? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Mark Mandel. I'm a developer advocate for Google Cloud. We're going to play with some open source back-end development stuff today. What are we up to? So, if you're not familiar with me, I build open source tools for back-end multiplayer games, and I primarily work on an open source tool called Agones, which is a platform for running dedicated game servers. Feel free to throw questions in the chat, etc., etc. Let me know what you're up to, and we'll have a grand old time, I'm sure. I've got some API design stuff today that I want to dig into. What do I want to show? Actually, let's let's pop over here, and I'll pop here. All right, cool. So we have this cool stuff in Agones called player tracking. This is like being aware of what players are connected to your system. Here it is. It's currently in alpha. It's super cool. Actually, people are using it, which is nice. Super happy about that. It's been around since 1.9.0, which, as you see from releases, was a while ago. There's my dog in the background. People seem happy with it. It seems to be working quite well, so no complaints there. The API surface looks pretty sweet, like in terms of like the actual SDK API. So thumbs up seem fine there. That's all good. But we had an interesting discussion about whether we should, how we should structure the API surface inside GitHub, about whether we should take a resource-based APIs for player tracking. And Don Green, who does a lot of work, and he's great. It would have been awesome if all this stuff would have happened before, like when we were doing the design for this work. But you know, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, and that's fine. Nothing more you can do about that. That's just sometimes you look back and you're like, it would have been great if we could do this. So digging into this, Dom had some ideas on how this should be structured. I'll have a look at how it is now, just so you're aware. So we have a service SDK. We have player connect. So like, hey, there's a particular player with a particular player ID that connects. Player disconnect. You know, player comes in and disappears. Set player capacity is setting a value for the actual capacity. And get player capacity is its current capacity. That's fine too. Get player count. Is player connected? Checking if the player is connected. So basically, it's like, you know, how many players have I got? Are they in there? Are they not in there? Can I have all the players? That kind of stuff. And this is fine. I basically wrote this as like what I figured was a nice way of doing it. I'm trying to actually remember if I actually wrote this as a proto as part of the design doc. And that's probably actually a really interesting question in and of itself. And I probably didn't. So that's probably a good lesson learned there, to make sure that I have that proto file as part of the design doc and not just as as a thing. Now, we dug all the way down into here. Okay, so really nice resource that one of my teammates pointed us to, which is like it's a Google Doc it's a Google website for designing APIs that is really sweet. And it talks about different types of API stuff and how they look and what they look like. Here we go. So this is perfect, right? Like as like resource-based APIs, and I don't care about that. And I'm just looking at the things on my phone. What they might look like as different resource-oriented designs, that kind of stuff. So what I wanted to do today was dig into some of the commentary about what's in here, have a look at how that relates to this API design, and sort of roll through and see where we end up. There was some back and forth discussion. I've honestly forgotten so much of it that I've legit forgotten. like where we kind of ended up and what with the conversation. So what I'd like to do is come up with just a proto around what we're thinking it should look like and see whether it aligns with what we have here, and then we can drop that into the design doc here and see how that goes. I think it's basically where I'm going with this. One thing I did mention, we did mention that we wanted to have this doc as like the guide for building what's the word I'm looking for building APIs going forward. So, you know, let's start with that. That seems like actually a nice place to start as a way of making that a contributing guide. So why don't we do that? Code of conduct, additional instructions for real plugins, formatting. Here's my dog. Hey, dog up. Oh, she's gonna have a nap. Kubernetes, coding and development. That's some guide stuff. Put that next to it. Submitting code via pull request. So we get our pull request and recommend for new features, documentation, yada yada yada. Code formatting instructions below. Included. There we go. Let's put it here. Let's say. Thank you. It is strongly recommended that new API design follow API. Whoop, can't spell. What do they call it? API improvement. Google AIP. Google AIPs. Oh my god. Design guidelines. Trying to remember new APIs follow the Google AIP to the design guidelines. Okay, sweet. That seems like at least we can then if we get this pull request up, then you know we at least we feel like we've got something accomplished. All right, let's do that. Contrib. Meta. What am I typing today? Contrib API. There we go. And let's actually reference the actual. Okay. Let's commit that. Awesome. Okay. Oh my god, that's huge. Why is that so big? Shrink. Google AIP talks to. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, that was fun. Excuse Google AIP talks to contributing. Yep. As came up in Splat. We want to use the documentation, as a general guide, as a recommended. Recommended is a good word. For building new API surfaces in Agones. Commit. I assume no one's going to disagree with me on this one. I'm just reading in the comments because yeah, there's a terrible name for it. Just wait until someone creates an API that links your API against the AIP. Yeah, that'll be fun. There is actually, I believe, a linter for this tool as well, which is kind of cool. I don't know if we want to go that far down there, but that sounds good. All right, let's push that up, get that going, and then we'll see how we go. then at least I'm like, I accomplished something today. I put in a pull request. I'm going to put it into meta and documentation. Cleanup? Cleanup seems fine. And reviewers. Puna was the one that came up with it too, but I will also put Robert Bailey on it. Thank you, Robert. All right, create pull request. All right, sweet. That gets one part done. I'll let that run in the background and do its thing. Okay. All right, so players themselves are resources. That's fine. So let's actually, you know what? Let's review this. Let's review the commentary. I think that's reasonable. And we'll see where we end up. All right. Resource-based API for the alpha features of player tracking. We're all like, okay, that seems reasonable. I've looked at each resource is currently exposed via player tracking. I have an alternate suggestion of the API documented below. Okay, so this is all REST-based APIs. I think that's fine. I'm going to skip ahead, actually. Notice the majority actions hangs off players and players ID. Okay, the one, yeah, capacity is always a fun one. Okay, cool. And what do we have now? Just to look at it now. So we have like alpha player connect. That should be v1 alpha 1. I think we all agreed on that. Player disconnected. Okay, player disconnect capacity. They're all kind of actions rather than like push pulls. Yeah, I was always terrible at REST-based APIs. I will admit that. I don't know if terrible is the right word, but I don't know if I adhere to standards very well. This is a post. Yeah, disconnect could be a delete. That would actually make a lot of sense because you're removing somebody. Yeah, that all makes a certain amount of sense. All right, cool. Let's get back here. Yep. Whereas like player connected, right? You're doing a get for a particular player. There's a value there. Okay. Yep. Lots of good stuff. We're basically doing this as well. It's gonna break everything, but fun. All right. Puna had some thoughts. Puna brought up the topic of like game sessions. I actually am going to have a strong opinion of like we shouldn't do that, and not worry about that at all. I don't know if we should be tracking individual game sessions inside a particular game server. That's a whole other topic, and you can dig into that. We can talk about that if people really want to. That's fun. Okay, so I'm gonna step away from that and be strongly opinionated that like I don't think we should do sessions. I think we're just going to worry about what players are connected to a game server, and if your game server is multi-tenant or handles multiple sessions or anything like that, that's on you to handle inside your system. Individual connections, I think, just let us handle some interesting scenarios. I think, yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking at. Okay. And if you want to get more complicated, then you can. Okay. Okay, so we're following. All right, Puna has a particular thing that's repeated fields. All right, not worrying about that too far. I think players really a repeated field. There's a linter. Is there actually what is the linter? There's a linter? Oh, there is literally an API linter. Oh, that's kind of fun. Real-time checks for compliance can be. You can install it. Huh. I might try this actually. This might actually be kind of fun. Maybe eventually. All right. So, all right, yada, yada, yada. We agree that it should adhere to all services. Fantastic. Look at my favorite site. Connect one is just a created player resource. Disconnect is similar. Cool. Interesting. Google API field behavior equals required. All right. Let's look at players back page if needed. I don't think we're going to worry about paging. This wouldn't be repeated fields, not primitive, and it doesn't exceed. Yeah, I think that's fine too. List players response. It's players. But anyway, that's fine. Fitting with the player tracking a separate thing. All right, so okay, so that's a lot of cool stuff. I think okay, so let's take a step back. All right, one problem at a time. We have players. Players, it seems like the easy one. Resource-oriented design. Cool. A player seems like a appropriate thing to be a resource. And then we can worry about some of the other stuff because we have getting and setting capacity. That's a whole thing. Checking to see if a player exists, that kind of stuff. But let's start with, player addition and subtraction, I think is a good start. What does a player look like? We just have a player ID at this point. That's a unique identifier for a given player. All right, cool. Player ID list should be a list of player IDs. All right, let's have a look here. Now we do have some Google stuff available to us as well. Let's have a quick look. Google APIs, API annotations, HTTP. All right, and there's a bunch of fun stuff in here. What makes this, I don't know if tricky is the right word. I guess we're gonna have to see. All right, let's see what happens. Let's have a play. All right, so resource-oriented design is yada. Find individual named resources, nouns. So like a player, seems reasonable. Small number of standard methods, verbs, provide semantic operations. Okay, custom methods are available in situations where standard methods do not fit. Sweet. Roughly provide relationships or hierarchies with schema of each resources. Should be modeled as a resource hierarchy, which note is either a simple resource or collection of resources. Okay, well, yes, we have a collection of players. That seems reasonable. Resource-oriented APIs emphasize resources data model over the methods performed on the resources functionality. Okay. Number of resources with some normal methods in each resources. Get, list, create, update, delete, or custom methods. Okay, cool. A custom method in a resource-oriented design does not entail defining a new or custom HTTP verb. That makes sense. Custom methods use post. Okay, that seems fine too. Okay, resource names. That's a good thing. So what should a player be? The primary nouns which users are able to create, retrieve, and manipulate. Additional named, yada. And I think we want to have a player. Okay, this seems reasonable. Resource names, components should use usually between collection identifiers, publishers, books, users, and resource IDs, yada. Resources must use the / character in individual segments. Resource IDs, okay. Resources must expose a name field that contains its resource name. Okay, interesting. Collection identifiers, nested collections, resource ID segments. Give me an example. We got an example in here. Here we go, a book. Oh, this is fun. They have this whole Google API field behavior thing. That's neat. How do I use that? Oh, my dog's going nuts. Of course she is. Hey, what are you doing? Figures. She knew I was talking about stuff. User visible name. Yeah, but we don't even have that. We actually just want to store the ID of the thing. resource reference. Yeah, I don't. This stuff kind of freaks me out a little. But all right, that's. I don't even think we can use this right now. I'm trying to remember how some of this stuff works too. Oh no, this is the option. Okay. I assume it's. I'm also assuming. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so gRPC API gateway. That's a whole other thing. We're actually using an old version of this too, so that's also fun. Okay, let's use gRPC. Let's just make sure that works. gRPC API gateway. That doesn't help. Actually, give me gRPC gateway. Now, what's fun about that is we're using a super old version. But give me, according to HTTP annotations. All right, so that's all the annotations, which I think are probably fine. Just want to see API resource. Is that a message? Wow, this doesn't help, does it? All right, HTTP proto. I don't know if you can hear my dog going in the background. She's really fun. Hey, crazy, what are you doing? It's time to spin in circles because reasons, and it's fun. Okay. Where does it specify what these rules are and how they get generated? Okay. Option HTTP. Yeah, so where does that come from as an example? Because, like, that's cool. Like, that would be nice. Option API resource. Oh, I see. This is a different thing. It's an entirely different thing. Okay. Do we want to pull this whole thing in? Or do we just want to basically make sure that we have something similar that fits? Not sure. Not sure. That's... Maybe we deviate here slightly. You need a dog cam. Yeah, I do need a dog cam. She's currently leaning on my leg. Or you can hear her puffing away. Hey, Papa. All right, so you know what? Let's ignore this Google API resource stuff for now. I think that's fine. I'm gonna pretend like it doesn't exist, and we'll replicate it to some degree. I think that's the short answer. We'll see how we go. And then if we want to start pulling this up, I'm not even sure how well that's supported. Anyway, one problem at a time. Actually, gRPC gateway. We were looking at this a second ago. Give me the website. Because if it doesn't support that stuff, then it makes that decision a lot easier. Examples. A bit of everything. Okay, give me a little bit of everything. Go on. Let's have a look. Yeah. Whereas that doesn't really have that. Also, this is... Oh no, this has API field behavior. That's in there. Option API HTTP. Google.api. Field behavior is required. Apparently that's a thing. HTTP I see. I don't see any of the resource stuff. Okay, so all right, so let's stick to API HTTP and resource because I don't think a quick look gRPC gateway. It's a phrase and then those two phrases. That's oh, we have an issue. Let's have a look. Okay. Debugging non-wall college with the introduction of your PC definitions, yada yada yada. This is someone doing that? It seems like a function for the generated errors. Somebody fixed whatever the issue was. All right, so apparently you can do it as a thing. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go back around the other way. Let's implement this like we're doing AIP all the way through. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Oh my god, my dog. Hey, Nada, what are you doing? Yeah, she's just gonna do that in the background. That KCA is potentially used by a rejoiner. I don't know what rejoiner is. I'm not sure what you're talking about. But okay, you know what? Let's do it the way it says. And we'll see how we go. Hold on. Hey, crazy, calm down. I know, you're nuts. Everything is fine. Okay. Shh. Oof. Big crazy dog. All right. Resource names must be unique. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. So. When defining a resource, the first field should be the resource name, which means it must be called name for the. I mean, I guess we could just have a name. That's fine. When we had a D before, but it can just be named behind the scenes. I don't think that's a problem. All right, let's do that. I'm gonna steal this. Let's just do it. Let's just hack at this thing, and we'll see where we end up. I'm not actually. What's the word? I'm not actually. What's the word I'm looking for? Implementing it yet. So I think that's fine too. Okay. It's going to be this. So this is going to be a player. Google API resource. Yeah, so what is type? What is that thing? Resource types. Here we go. Resources are primary nouns, which uses user to create, retrieve, and manipulate APIs, are allowed to rename the resource types as they fit. Only uniqueness within that API. However, it becomes important to have a single globally unique. Okay, great. GraphQL APIs. Okay. Got it. So what I'm thinking is this is something like agones.dev player. That seems legit. Is there a version that goes into a resource name? Pattern uniqueness? No. Okay. How are we doing versioning here of your API numbering, maybe? No. That's just about how to write the docs. I'm probably jumping ahead here. Field names, yada, yada, yada. Pagination, resource revisions. Revisions in the origin, resource over time. No, that's not what I want. Change validation. Now it's like a dry run. That's fine too. Backwards compatibility. Existing client comments may not be broken. Yeah. That's fine. Adding components, removing or renaming. Ones of. Changing resources. Semantic changes. Stability levels and recommendations. Alpha, beta. Yeah, this is all the stuff that we do now. But like, how do I path that? Or are we just going to solve that later? Okay, you know what? I'm just going to solve that later. Let's come back to resources. Resource types. Okay, so we have a resource type. This will be player. I think sounds reasonable. Somebody would love to explain. Oops, I think I did a capital P when I shouldn't have done. Yes, that should be players, plural. All right, and resource name or player ID of the player. I don't have any other fields, actually. That's literally all the fields that I have. Can I fix that somehow inside here? Do you... Unresolved reference. Yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah, properly formatted already. So if I do that, and then I hit Control-Shift-F, nope. Interesting. That, oh my god. This is very fun. Player, yada, yada, yada. Okay, resource name. So this player ID thing, you go away. Sweet. Seems like a good start. See how we go. All right, so we have a name. Resource association. We don't really have a hierarchy, at least at this point. I just want to do players. So we're just going to do that. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Cool. Many associations here. We just have players, so that seems fine. Resource types, enumerations, HP and gRPC transcoding. Interesting. So when you have the RPC, that's where the thing is. Okay. All right. APIs. All right, here we go. So this is where we get into the thing. So I think I'm also wondering if we want to pull in some other Google protos. They're handy. Just looking at like Boolean wrappers, things like that. Stuff that's just like it's really easy to do. Also, where did that get used? Things like empty count or an int. I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. I may be getting ahead of myself at this point. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. Let's do this way. Or maybe not. Yeah, I have no idea. God, I haven't done this in so long. All right, I'm going to put this at the bottom. There we go. And then we import some stuff here, which is kind of fun. Annotations.proto. What do you bring in? Come on, open. Thank you. Okay, so you bring in HTTP and some other stuff that you don't actually have. But I assume it's going to complain if something goes wrong. Okay. So what are we saying here? Come back here. APIs must provide HTTP definitions for every RPC they define, except for bidirectional streaming RPCs, which cannot be natively supported, yada, yada, yada. That's fine. Should also offer an alternative members that, okay, that's fine too. We're not worrying about that, and we don't do any bidirectional streaming, so that's fine too. Okay, HTTP method and path. Book request, stream book ID. Okay, create book request, etc. First, create corresponds to the HTTP method. RPCs may use get, post, patch, delete. There's all the verbs, multiple URI bindings. Oh, that's kind of cool. Cool. Declarative-friendly interfaces. This AAP is currently under review. I am not going to worry about that. That seems reasonable. Okay, so standard methods seems like a great way to start for where we're looking at. So let's start with create. All right. APIs should generally provide a create method for resources unless it is not valuable if users do so. We definitely want to be able to create players. Yeah, seems legit. So where are we? What does that mean? Okay, and that's interesting. Okay, so if I look here just real quick, create book. Oh no, it's the same. Okay. Create book request. Oh. All right, let's have a look. Some of this is just straight magic. Oh, and this is where the HTTP stuff comes into effect. Okay, cool. All right, let's have a look. Google APIs should provide a create method for resources unless it's not valuable for users to do so. The purpose of this create method, creating a resource in already existing collection. Okay. Now I think create players request. That's what you're in the create list. We'll get. All right. So you're thinking that. Seems like that's what I'm sort of thinking too. Okay, the RPCs must begin with the word create. The main RPCs should be singular form of the resource being created. The response message must be the resource itself. Okay, I have no problem with that. I think what we had before was actually just empty. Player connect returns Boolean. Interesting. Okay. What if it's idempotent though? What is it? Yeah, what does it return? So in our case, if somebody submits a player with a given name, which is basically what we have, what if it already exists? How does that get handled? All right, the request message must match the RPC name with a request suffix. The response message must be the resource itself. There's no create book response. Okay. Response should include the fully populated resource and must include any fields that, okay. Ultimately, actually, if you create the player or create the book, all right, fields should be annotated as required. Should identify the resource type. Annotated as required. What is that? Should use field behavior annotation to describe well understood field behaviors required, immutable, or output only. Is that documented anywhere? God only knows. Field behavior documentation. Oh yeah, it has things. Okay. Acquired. The good thing is also we're going to throw this in front of a bunch of people and they will see it. So we can hack something together and go from there. Okay, so create. Parent field should be included unless the resource being created is top level resource. We only have the one, so we don't have a parent. That seems fine. Needs to be allow client to specify the ID of the component of the resource. Ah, very good. This is common if users are allowed to choose that portion of the resource names, for example. May support by providing a string resource ID on the request message. Ah, which is what DOM did. So that's what DOM did here. We're learning things. String player ID. We create it. Yep. We do our own ID. The resource ID must exist in the request message, not the resource itself. The field may be required or optional. If it's required, it should include the corresponding annotation, which I think he would have specified here. Oh, no, we didn't specify it. Okay, we need to specify that as required. If a user tries to create a resource with an ID that would result in a duplicate resource name, the service must error with already exists. How do we do that? Okay, one problem at a time. But at least there's a reference there. Okay, so I'm gonna steal this. I assume that's just a gRPC status. We'll find out. All right. So this is going to replace this. Oh god, that's awful. All right, so this should be create player. And this should be create player request. And this is going to return a player. Option v1 alpha 1. I think if v1 alpha v1. Now, so we talked about this too, and we referenced something. v1 alpha 1. Okay. v1 alpha should not be married, but for impact. Yes, that's fair. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't see anything in here around versioning, which I'm actually kind of surprised by. Let's change it. V1 alpha. Or version. Yeah, it doesn't say. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about that too much for now. V1 alpha 1. There's no parent. And players. Oh, did I steal something? I stole something bad. That's not what I want. At some point I'll work out how to get these things in there properly. As a reference. Okay, so where are we create? I just want to look at that. I don't think we need a method signature. What does that do? Method signatures. It's actually quite nice. It's handling all that stuff for me. All right. One argument, a message. Sending a full message structure can be cumbersome. Method signature, which annotates an overload with a flattened method signature. That's that. What do they do here? Parent book, method signature. I don't understand. Annotations indicate that an overload with a flattened method signature is desired when supported. What did Dom say? Not worrying about capacity yet. Seems to have ignored it. I'm going to ignore it as well. Okay. Create player. No, not create player. V1 alpha 1 to players. No method signature. That's going to go away. Bye-bye. And then we have to make a request thing. Create methods implement a common request message pattern. Now I'm going to steal the one that has this one. Yes. Which is the ID. It's going to be interesting, but we'll see how we go. So I'm going to put those two next to each other, which just seems legit. Okay, so this is a create player request. This comes out of here. We do not have a parent, so that goes away. Basically, I want to see also if Dom and I come to the same conclusions. This is a player. And we're going to have to specify that to be I think, don't we have to specify that to be required or no? It's 2. That's complaining, but I don't know if it's complaining for a good reason. I don't think so. Great book request, yada yada yada. Great book. Yeah, seems fine. Verb must be post. There must be body key. Yep. Now, we had this before. User specified IDs. Here we go. Sometimes an API needs to allow it. All right, so we'll need to handle that. We don't right now. Everything's going to change, but that's all right. We're basically rebuilding this from scratch. The book ID, here we go. Okay, just having a look, make sure I didn't miss anything. It's fine. Still something here. Okay. This should apply to resource name. Resource with an ID. If the resource ID must exist in the resource message, not the resource itself, the field may be a required option. If it's required, it should include the corresponding annotation. So I assume I'm going to need this as well. Because you can't create a player without a player ID. Yep, I got that in the wrong order. Okay, that seems like a legitimate player request. Create player increases the SDK store player count by 1. Depends player ID. We should rewrite all this stuff. This player's name to the set of IDs. Yeah. Already exists. This one. Player ID is not already on the list of connected players, but player capacity of the server has been reached. Ooh, yeah. Is there a there's enough permission? I wonder if there's status response codes. Perfect. Permission denied. Resource exhausted. Have exhausted perhaps per user code. I think that sounds good. Require failed executions. Directory is not deleted. Is not empty. Ooh, failed precondition maybe, or resource exhausted. Out of range. Sometimes multiple L cards. My reply. Past the valid range. Actually, I think that sounds reasonable. Out of range will be returned if the player and the collected players but the player capacity for the server has been reached. Say list. Wanting to use method in menu managing your server player IDs and yada 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 yada. Okay. That seems better. Against your player count, I think there's updated player count ID. List a second from now unless there's running. Yep. Player connect, not player connect. Create player. Returns the player and adds the player to if this player was not already in the list of connected players. If the player exists within the list of connected players, create player will return always exists. It exists in the list of connected player IDs players. Be left unchanged. Out of range will return if the player was not already in the list of connected players, but the player capacity for the server has been reached. The player will not be added to the list. I think that seems reasonable. Sweet. I might do some tidy up there just real quick. Sweet, I like that. That works for me. Cool. Seems legit. Everyone seems happy. No one's complaining so far. Awesome. How's the rest of my day going? We are good. All right. You know what? Let's commit this. Oh, yeah. Git stash. Go check out main. Go check out my FB. Where are we? How do I want to do this? Let's just say refactor. Player API. Git stash pop. All right. I'm just gonna commit it. Work in progress. Yeah, that's fine. Work in progress. Refactoring. Made. What do we call it? Create player. Push that up somewhere so I never lose it. All right. Great. Good start. All right. Let's then move on to deletion. Like, let's just, I'm just going to start with the easy one. Like, we got player disconnect. assume we've also got a delete operation. Then there's the whole question of like making this thing actually work, but one problem at a time. Okay, I'm not going to deal with capacity. Yeah, let's jump into delete. Excellent. Everything just cracked beautifully. That was lovely. All right, APIs should generally provide a delete API. That seems reasonable because we want to delete things. Let's start with the delete, signal form, resource name, yada, yada, yada. So delete player, Google protobuf empty. Actually, that's literally what I was going to do. I wanted to pull in those empty, like the Google protobuf stuff. We don't use it in all places, but reasons. That's fine. Response should be empty. That's fine. If the resource stuff deleted should be the resource. Okay, if the delete RPC is long running, none of these is long running. Field should be called name. Okay, so basically there's no body. We're just saying, hey, delete this one particular thing, which that seems pretty sweet. I haven't any problem with that. Delete if existing. Okay, yes. If the service uses client assigned resource names, which we do, may expose a Boolean allow missing field, which causes the method to succeed in the event the user attempts to delete a resource is not present, in which case it is no op. If the user doesn't have permission to access the resource, if the user doesn't have permission, but the resource does have, okay, so then it would be a 404. Okay. Allow missing to be set to true. How do we normally do this? Okay. What do we do now? We'll return true and remove the supply if the player value exists within the list. If it doesn't, then it spits back an error. Okay. All right, so we will return a 404 if something bad. If it's not there, fine, no problem there. We don't want to allow missing. Actually, we don't want to allow missing in this case. Because we don't want to allow missing, the reason being is that brain just fell over. Is that we actually want to return the 404. We don't want to succeed when it passes through. So that would be bad. So yeah, let's not do that. Let's respond to something really quickly. Okay, so this looks pretty good. All right, I'm just going to steal this like I have with everything else. We can come back over here. I actually just want to have a quick look at something here. Message player. Okay, that lives outside of the service. Yeah, that's service SDK. Okay, cool. That's just the... Should that sit inside the service or no? Genuinely no idea. That empty thing should go away. Alrighty. All right, let's have a look here. Splat. This is now going to be is delete. Oh, that's the message. Oh, I don't want the message. Sorry, not yet. My bad. My bad. First, I want to start with the RPC. Yeah, we can get rid of all that stuff for now. Cool. All right. Boom. Boom. Oh, this is... There we go. All right, so this becomes delete player with a delete player request. Returns protobuf empty. Fine. That is v1 alpha 1. This bit confuses me. Name publisher star. What? Yeah. You have me confused. All right. I'm going to assume what this really should just be is, why does it say name equals? That's the bit that confuses me. When I did that before, we just did a post v1 alpha 1. Oops, my fault. Which I think is what we all agreed on here. v1 alpha 1. No, here. What's Pune was saying? P v1 alpha 1. Yep. This bit. This bit's very confusing. What does that do? I don't know. What? Maybe this will make sense. Where are we? We're here. So we take a delete book request. Delete book request is field behavior required. It's a name. References the book. Yeah, there's what? Meh. All right, let's see here. Maybe somebody has some. Okay, we need somebody must define it using the HTTP method. But what does this stuff mean? URIs must use the foo equals bar syntax to represent a variable that should be populated in the request proto. When requesting a resource name, the variable must include the entire resource name, not just the ID component. URIs must use the star character. Okay, so we're taking the name out. See, okay, so name comes out of this. Right. So what I'm hearing is that should be name equals players slash star, and it takes a name, which seems a bit weird to me, but okay. Like, why would I not just take the end? Why am I taking the whole thing? But it says that's what I should do. The RPC's name is hold on. The URIs must use the syntax to represent a variable that should be populated in the request proto. When expressing a resource name, the variable must include the entire resource name, not just the ID component. Use the character star to represent ID components, which match all URI characters. All right, I'm just going to do what they say, and we'll see how we go. Players, v1 alpha 1, players, option name, that's what we want, player disconnect. All right, so now I need the message. Delete book, request. I think I can steal pretty much all of that. We can just replace book with player. But we also need these annotations are hilariously weird, but okay, cool. players.dev/player. Whew. That seems legit-ish. Okay. We have a delete. We can get rid of that one. All right. Well, what happens if it doesn't exist? Errors. Here we go. If the user permission denied, it should be 4 not found. Okay. Decreases SEA store player count by 1 and removes the player ID. Cool. Set to update the player count. Yep. That's fine. Player disconnect. This is delete player. Turn true. Succeed. And remove this player from the list of connected players if the player's value exists within the list. If the player is not in the list of connected players, the call will error a status of not found. Where'd it go? Collected player list we left unchanged. Okay, that seems legit to me. Cool. Oh. Set player capacity, I am not going to worry about yet. Get player capacity, get player count, is player connected. Okay, so this is... all right, so now we're getting into a bit more custom-y stuff. Let's not worry about capacity for now. If we want to see like current number of players. Actually, you know what's an easier one? It's an easier one is get connected players. Let's move that up. Which is basically, yeah, just give me the list of the things, right? Okay. Nice. All right, so this seems like actually a good one to tackle next because list is a winner winner chicken dinner. Here, I'll get some water. What time is it? 20 past 4 here. Starting to get hungry. But yeah, let's get this stuff sorted. Okay. All right. Tell me that passed. Yeah, good. Ah, beautiful. And Robbie submitted it. Perfect. That makes me very happy. Okay. Where were we? Get connector players. Now we have list is a thing. Okay. Generally provide a list method for resources unless valuable to do so. Yada yada yada. List methods are specified using this following pattern. That all seems fine. List books. We don't have a parent. That's not a problem. Oh, I get what that does now. Okay. So you're specifying the parent. That's your variable, so you can specify the identifier of the parent as it comes through. I understand now. Okay. And that's the parent, which we don't need because we don't have a parent. Okay. Awesome. V1 parent books. Okay, and it's just a get. That seems legit. Parent should be called parent, should be only variable. Body found in the APB must be omitted. Yep. request message. We don't have a parent. That's not a thing. So, are we gonna do pagination? I really don't want to. I'll be honest. It's also, we're dealing with in-memory data sets. Really? Must? Why? That's annoying. Fine. There. You suck. Oh, there's even a page token. Gross. How do you supports pagination must include on the list of responses. It must set the subsequent pages and must not be sent. Response messages being through to total size. Oh, that's kind of cool. Message may include an enter to total side field with a number of items in the collection. Interesting. Okay, so that's actually kind of cool. I'll tell you why I think that's cool. We can get rid of get player count. Because we can send that information out through the list. And if you want to get just the count, you can ask for a count with 0 in the page and just the response, and you'll get it back. That's kind of neat. So let's do it. The current player count is included in the response. Okay, even though, yeah, perfect. Sorry, we'll tidy that up a little bit later. I don't know how we do. How do you do pagination tokens? Maybe it's just where to start from. Keep it easy. Like the next pagination token could just be the name of the next player, for example. That makes sense, right? That makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. And it goes and searches for them and sends you the rest. Okay. All right, I'm gonna steal this again. And we'll tidy it up like we did before. Split that in. Tap that across. All right. So first of all, books are not books. List players, that's plural, right? List books request, list books response. Okay, cool. List players response. We don't have a parent. Same as before. Also, that's lowercase players. v1 alpha 1 players. We also don't have an option of method signature of parents. Still don't quite understand what method signature does, but I don't think we need it, so I think it's fine. There should be exactly one method signature annotation with a value of parent. There should be? Why should there be? I'm going to admit it and see if anyone calls me out on it. We don't have parents. We're a top level resource, so like, seems fine. Not seeing any particular issue here. So, cool. All right, then I'm not gonna worry about it. Because does get have the same thing? Get would have the same thing, yeah. But like create method signature. There should be one that's usually the value of parent resource. Less the method specifies user specified IDs. Yeah, I'm not quite sure I understand what that does. API method signature. Do me a search on that, please. Yeah, method signatures. Thank you. Let's see if I can understand that. Protocol buffers RPCs. Each RPC takes exactly one argument, a message. However, sending a full message structure can be cumbersome. Important, which commonly used. Hint how to effectively translate from a single request. May provide overloads based on these hints. Request objects. Client libraries may also generate. Indicates that an overload with a flattened method signature is desired where supported. The string contains comma-separated arguments in order. If a field's name contains a period. Often certain fields in the request are considered required when a client library should not perform validation. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Q required to the field. Okay, so it's like a flattening thing, I guess. And when we created a create, I'm not sure I understand. Honestly, I'm not quite sure I understand what it does. But it seems like it's a good thing, so let's do it, I guess. Do we do the same thing on delete? Yeah, we have the method signature name because that's the name that we take. Okay, that makes sense. Should be exactly one entity name, or if an e tag or force field are used, they may be included in the signature. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you do stuff like that. Okay, that's fine. We're not doing anything like that. All right, cool. Yeah. That was fun. That was the first time I've ever banned anyone. Cool. Moving on. Okay, so protected delete. Don't care about that. All right, so we did that for delete then. That's already done. So then on list, I don't understand. There should be exactly one with a value of parent. Why? Why should there be one of parent? That's what I don't understand because I don't have a parent. So I'm going to go with, nah, I disagree with you on this one. And we'll see whether anyone calls me up on it. So that seems fine. That seems to sort of flatten player, I guess. Delete player, that's the name. List players, here we go. So list players, v1 alpha 1 players, that seems fine. Okay, so request message. This looks good except for the fact that we don't have a parent. Right? Nothing Nothing owns it. Maybe, and this is interesting. Okay, so like looking at previous, what we were looking at, like the actual thing, Pune had the idea of this top level thing of a game session, on what was, and had that as a parent. I was gonna say, does it make sense to have like a slash game server? But this API is only for the individual game server. You can't do other game servers. There really isn't a parent. So I'm gonna seal this as well. Actually, you know what? I'm not. I lied. I'm just gonna write it here. I don't know why it does that. List players. Ooh, what happened there? That was fun. Why did my DPI just change? That was weird. Ah! Genuinely don't know. So I'm running my stuff on a different machine. Hold on, we're gonna disconnect and reconnect. I'm running my entire GUI on a different machine. So let's just restart that. I hit some shortcut key, I think, that did something interesting. Okay, we are back. There we go. Players response? No, where's players request? Okay. Alrighty. So if we look here, we don't have a parent, but we do need these two. And it's one. Page token for when paginating. I don't think there was nothing else that we need. Parent field must be included unless a resource being listed as top level resource. Ah, good. And we don't have that. Page size which support must be specified. Okay, fine. Should be document the maximum. Comment above page size field should document the maximum size of value as well as document value if the field is omitted or set to 0. I don't think I have a maximum value. Do I have to have a maximum value? The user provides a value greater than the maximum value should coerce the value. By negative. Yep. All right. Let's say 100. 100 seems like a reasonable number. The maximum value number of players to return if there's this value, if unspecified, at most 100? 1,000? Say 1,000. Why not 1,000? Just for giggles. If you had yeah, why not? Players. Sweet. Page token is the next page token. Yep. Page token field must be included. Request message may include fields. Yeah, we don't have any filters. I don't care about that. I'm not going to worry about it because it's pretty straightforward. Response message. Can steal that too. Actually, can I? This might be a dumb question. Can I put messages inside services? I actually don't know. I have the service. Proto 3 message inside service. Defining services. There we go. If you want to use a message types in RPC server, you can define a service instead of We'll generate service interface. Huh. Can I add a message inside a service? Will it let me? I actually wonder whether I need to put this message outside of here, and it will, otherwise that's one of the reasons why it's so grumpy at me. But, that being said, if I put it in here, it seems to be fine. So, I don't know. gRPC proto examples. Let's see what they do. That's fine. I feel like I should know this, but I don't. Example code is gRPC Go repository. Perfect. Don't care about any of them. Just something simple. Give me a proto file. Service.proto. All kinds of fun stuff. Message, then service. Okay, so they put it all outside. All right. In which case, then I've done stuff. Interesting. So they do service last. Just for our proto. Message. Service. Okay. So I've done some dumb stuff. All right, cool. Well, actually, that helps. What I'm going to do then is come up here and move this stuff up here, which makes me happier. And then I can move this. Create player request. Delete player request. Here we go. And then we have list players request and response. All the way to the top. Okay. This should be this player response, repeated players. Next page token. That's fine. What I do want though, one thing I noticed, message may include a int3 total size or int64 total. I think that's fine. With the field number int60. No, you can't have that many players. You can have an int32 number of players. Filtering if used, total size filter has a collection after the filter is applied. Okay, we're not using filtering. That's fine. Equals 3. Cool. And our service. I assume if I do that. Oh, it does. Look at that. Oh no, it's only got the messages. It doesn't. Service is very confused. Yeah, the Proto 3 stuff in IntelliJ, I don't know if it's me or how I have it set up, but it's not the best. All right, list players, you go away. All right, let's have a look here. So let's actually look at our list books request, returns list books response. List players request takes list players response. That looks like it should be there. Huh, what did I call it up here? Ah, list player response, okay. Put back down. I feel like that's the wrong v1 books. Oh yeah, it's just, oops. Get players, seems fine. The RPC's name must begin with the word list, yada yada yada. Yeah, we don't have a parent. Cool. This sounds, list players, this sounds fine. Returns the list of currently connected players. This is always accurate from its current player count is included in the response. The value, yep. Players, yep. Okay. Yeah, at least it finds it. That's nice. That seems good. That's an interesting question. Is it? Color scheme, code style, protobuf support. Ah, I wonder if I can do this. Proto. Try that. Did that help? It doesn't have everything. Because I know it only has annotations.proto and a couple other things. But when I, bear with me one sec, when I build, where are we? Say gen. The list of images, go, that's fine, gen.sh. And then I hit a -I, SDK, alpha and beta, Google APIs, here we go. Google APIs is the Google APIs folder. Okay. Let's go source Agones and Google APIs. I just refresh that. Trying to get a little better support here. SDK alpha to proto. Ah, that works now. Okay. There's all this field behavior stuff that we don't have yet, but at least we have something. Yeah, we're gonna need some other stuff, but that's okay. That's okay. The other interesting question is yeah, these are always hilarious in that I don't know when we vendored them and like all that other fun stuff. So we'll work it out as we go. Hopefully none. I don't think they would have changed because they're pretty backward compatible. Okay, now this is looking a little better too. Like it's not complaining as much. Awesome. That also makes me super happy. That was a good find. If you're watching this and you're doing proto stuff and you just saw that in IntelliJ, that is the trick for getting your includes to work. So I give you the thumbs up, which is good. All right. One problem at a time. I think everything should be yes. All right. I might. So there's this one. There's is player connected. I'd like to have this as an API. Did anyone mention that in here? It's an interesting one. Is player connected? Alpha player connected? All right, so it doesn't seem to exist there. The there is just a get. We could just do a get, actually, and a 4 if it doesn't exist. I think that actually makes sense. I mean, there's not much data in any of it, but seems like that seems fine. I don't have any problems with that. In fact, I actually quite like it. Yeah, the HTTP 404. Like, yeah, that sounds legit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's do that. So is player connected? Actually, hold on. So we're gonna steal this. All right. Get the player SDK. The values have been updated. If the player does not exist, then an error of, did I have that? A, not found. Perfect. Okay, thank you. It's returned. I just realized something really stupid, but that's all right. You can feel free to laugh at me. I usually run like the whole IDE on a different machines to save on CPU and stuff, and literally the only thing I've been doing is editing a proto file. I'm not even compiling anything or anything like that. So there's no reason for me to do that other than just because I'm stupid. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. Get the player. This is exactly. Sweet. All right. If your method signature name, that makes sense. Name equals. Boop. All right, that should be get player. Get player request. Returns player. Players. Sweet. You go away. Blam. Oh. Quick stretch. Okay, that looks sweet. Like I don't have any problems with that. This goes away. Just never using that again. Player ID list goes away. It's not using that either. All right. Okay. Oh, man. All right. So I need to get player request. I have a pretty good idea what that's going to look like, but this is also why we have message, get a player request. Okay. And what does the request end up looking like? Oh, it's literally just the name and the type. All right, that seems legit. This is the request. Required. Agones. Dev player. That seems fine. Yeah, I know you can't see those things. that should now be pretty happy. All right, skipping that. I'd like to get that. That's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. I'd like to get that reviewed and just see how people feel about that as the resources. So I'll tell you what, let's work in progress, player resource API redesign. Let's push that up. Really? What? Oh, cause yeah. That's just silly. Oh, one sec. Let me skip over here so you don't see some stuff I'm doing. Let me just cool. Okay, and we're back. All right, now I can push that up. Now I need to work out how I want to represent this on that issue so people can see it. So let's have a look here. All right. So I took stab at refactoring the alpha.proto to work on these changes. For right now, I've pretty much completely ignored get set capacity. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track first. Work on these changes, specifically on treating player as a resource. Ignored. I've actually completely ignored it. Yeah. Get set capacity to make sure the right track first, and we'll then look at tackling that aspect. It has come up on the issue around managing game sessions. Given the direction of allocation, advanced. Yes, I pretty strongly think we won't implement functionality to track individual game sessions, and instead bind that up to the game server binary, and therefore shouldn't be concerned about that aspect within this API. Or to put it another way, /players is a top level resource. All right, sweet. What I did want to see, go away. Beautiful. Okay. Yes, I just want to see compare. Oh, I just want to compare. There we go. If you want to see here's a link if you want to see a comparison between the old version and the new. Let's run the linter over this once we're in a reasonably happy place. And then I need to work out how we are going to actually all right. Yeah, let's just grab the whole protobuf. I'm not going to use all of it in there, but I just want to take that because then I can remove some stuff. Capacity, here we go. Dot. Capacity pieces removed. Baby. All right. I'm also sure. All right, so that's there. 60K, yada yada yada. If flare doesn't exist. As far as I can tell, the API surface here will still enable the SDK API to be able to function. In the same way it does currently. Maybe list. As far as is the only difference I can think of maybe being the list functionality, since it has pagination. Thinking face. Since it tells me I have to do pagination, then I'm doing pagination. Thinking face. The linter, there's a linter. I just want to go to that. It's cool that they have a linter. I actually am quite impressed that they have a linter. I'm quite curious to run it once we're in a sort of happy place. So refactoring these prototypes and these changes. Okay, cool. For right now, I've completed don't get say capacity. I want to make sure I'm on the right track first, and I'll look at tackling that aspect. An issue remnant gaming in the direction of 1239. Feels to be wearing in place. For buying, we shouldn't be concerned about that aspect of the API. Or put another way, players level is a top level resource. So player. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Can't remember why that's there. But anyway, that's fine. We can worry about that as we go. Those players get. We don't have any filtering. That's fine. Just give me the list. Cure for instance, 3 SDK. Maybe we set it to what the capacity is. Ooh. List players always returns what the defaults to the capacity. Oh. Don't know. I'll have a think about that. Actually, let me. default for pagination should be the current capacity. Also thinking face. All right, let's see what people think. Whew. All right, cool. I learned a bunch, and that's a good reference. I like this reference. This makes me happy. I don't think I deviated from anything that anyone said here. Yeah, I'm not dealing with capacity for right now. Place back I needed with total size reflex. Yep. I'm saying the same thing. Cool. Player connect. Yeah, I think it's a resource. I think that sounds reasonable. Cool. Actually, it shouldn't be add. It should be create. But anyway, that's fine. Shouldn't it? Isn't that right? As a repeated field. No, that's fine. All right, we'll see what our friends come back. These two friends are very good at the API design stuff, so it's always good to get their feedback on what it is that's going on. All right, fantastic. It is 5 o'clock here. I am going to call it there. That was good. That was a good deep dive. I actually really enjoy doing this kind of stuff streaming because it gives me a chance to be very, very focused on what it is that I'm doing and trying to get some stuff done. Cool. If you're watching this on Twitch, please also check out my YouTube channel at Mark S. Mandel. Follow me on the internets at Neurotic as well on the Twitters. If you are watching me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch at Mark Mandel. So you can drop the S. And yeah, all the good stuff. If there's stuff you ever want me to cover around backend engineering for games, open source stuff, let me know. I'm always happy to take suggestions. Reach out to me on Twitter, drop comments anywhere on any of the systems that you find me on. That's always great fun. Otherwise, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm going to check this up on YouTube pretty soon, and hopefully you learned some interesting stuff. I learned some cool stuff about APIs today, so that was pretty sweet. Awesome. All right. Very good. I will catch you all later. See ya.